People worry about everything. People worry about their health. People worry about their children. They worry about dying. They worry about their job and the economy and having a heart attack and security and everybody else's happiness. And am I doing the right thing? And the prices and whether the economy is going to collapse, and accidents, and what if I have one, and what do other people think about me, and my weight, and my money, and my car breaking down, and my bills, and my parents maybe getting sick, or getting into heaven, or what if there's no God, or the weather, or getting old, or flying, or talking in front of groups, or going into the city. And even the most neurotic of all is worrying about having nothing to worry about, which I've had people do. I don't have anything to worry about, but then that's what worries me, because I just know that when I don't have anything to worry about, then something's going to go bad, and there they go off again. Now, here's the greatest piece of advice that any human being could ever receive. I know that sounds a little bit on the conceited side, but it is the most important advice that you could ever get about worry. Listen carefully. If you don't have control, you relax and you flow and you let it go. You just let it go. Worrying about something you have no control over makes absolutely no sense. If you have no control over something, getting older or dying or getting into heaven or whatever it may be, then worrying about it isn't going to do you any good. And if you do have control over it, then take control. Whatever it is that you want to do, if you're afraid of flying in an airplane, you have control over that. There are trains available, there are cars available, there are courses and ways to go about learning how to eliminate your fear of flying, and so on. So you can either do something about it, or you can choose not to do something about it. And either way, it isn't going to make any difference in your life if you choose to worry. It just doesn't help anything. So once you learn that, you can begin to assess this whole business of why you would choose guilt or worry in your life. And again, you look back over and over and over again at it, and you dissect it, and you tear it all apart, and you go to your analyst, and you spend 1,000 years in therapy, and you find out that everything that you experience in your life, you experience in the present moment, the working unit of your life, and you experience it in the now for a reason. If you choose guilt, or if you choose worry, you cannot be active and creative and fulfilled and changing and doing all kinds of good and exciting things for yourself in your life now if you are occupying your now with worry and guilt. And if you think that worry is something that you just inherited, or it's something that your parents passed on to you, and it's something that you just can't do anything about, begin to practice. Do things like I always tell people, just worry. Just sit there. I used to tell my patients over and over again, just sit there and worry. Show me what you're doing when you're worrying. And you begin to see how silly it is. It's just a mental exercise that is all caught up in this silliness. And all the things that you ever worry about. There's a wonderful old saying that says, I'm an old man and I've had many troubles, most of which have never happened. And the most of which have never happened is all the worries. You get all these worries and you see them coming at you and you, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? I'm going to get audited by the IRS. I remember the first time I ever got audited by the IRS, and I talked about it, and I was playing this same silly game, worrying about it and then I went through and it was a very pleasant experience. And I actually ended up getting a little bit more money, a little more of a refund. All of this concern, all of this time, all of this energy over something that wasn't, and it's happened to me many times. I've been through that process, and I don't worry about those things anymore. And I do the same thing with my children. I watch them grow up, and I know that there's all kinds of pitfalls and things out there that can have, but I can't keep my eye on every one of my children all day long when they're in school or when they're in their jobs or when they're in their relationships or whatever. I simply can't do that. So I have the choice. Am I going to sit around all day long and worry about each one of those children and whether or not they're going to be in any danger? Or am I going to just raise them to be as careful and productive as they possibly can and know that I can't do anything about that? And this isn't to say that I'm unconcerned. It is to say that I refuse to use my life filling it up with worry over things that I can't do anything about. I just can't go that way. And you don't have to either. Just like guilt has the notion that there's a difference between guilt and learning from the past. You do something, and instead of feeling guilty about it, you learn from it. Worry is one thing, and preparing yourself for the future is something quite different. But again, preparing yourself or planning for the future is still something that takes place in the now. So what you want to learn to do is to enjoy it in the now, instead of trying to live it 2 months from now or 3 months from now. Enjoy the planning process. If you're going to have a vacation 3 months from now, that's a very enjoyable process. All of that planning and all of the activity that goes into it and all the expectations and then the anticipation of what that's going to be like, that's one of the most joyful things about a vacation. All of that planning part. That isn't worry. Worry is when you are immobilized. The key word to define an erroneous zone is, does it immobilize me in the present? And if the answer is yes, then it's something I want to get rid of.